Welcome to Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs, the podcast that gives you an unfiltered, behind-the-scenes look at what it's really like being a woman in the middle who's over 50 and following her entrepreneurial dreams. Grab a superhero cape, girlfriend, because you deserve one. I'm your host, Master Certified Life Coach and Midlife Mentor, Suzy Rosenstein, and I am excited to inspire you with interviews that feature all of this midlife amazingness. Let's go. Hey there, welcome back to the show. We have another really exciting interview ahead of us about being a psychologist and coach who is willing to go for it instead of feeling powerless to achieve it. Today, you'll be meeting Leanne Kanzler, a woman in the middle entrepreneur who helps people connect to themselves and what they want after a divorce or separation. Welcome to the show, Leanne. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, Suzy. I'm very excited to be here.
Me too. I love it when people from Australia are on my show. It feels so international. It's so good. Now, I know we're going to have a great conversation today about your midlife entrepreneur story. We're going to be talking about your business and what's going really well, and also what midlife issues might be getting in your way to some extent and might be a little challenging for you in your life as well as being a business owner. So let's get started with how old you are, how long you've been an entrepreneur, and what you do in the world. Take it away.
Okay, well, I'm nearly 52. I often forget how old I am and have to look at what year it is and work it out because I kind of almost feel like age is irrelevant and whatever. Feeling better and better as I get older, I have to say, which is nice. I am a psychologist. I started that journey when I was 30, went back to university after my husband kept telling me there was something wrong with me. So I went to see a psychologist and I came home and I said, yes, there is something wrong with me. I hate my life, going back to university and I'm going to be a psychologist. And he was like, that's not what was supposed to happen. I was like, nah. Then after all that ended when I was 38, I went on the journey of self-discovery, discovered coaching, which I absolutely loved and thought was a really great way to fill in what I felt were missing gaps in psychology. And I studied coaching, became a coach. In the world of coaching, they talk about niching and all of that. And I thought, you know what, I really would love to help other women who have been through really difficult divorces and have lost themselves along the way, or maybe not even difficult divorces, but difficult marriages, and they've lost themselves along the way. And I started doing that, working with men and women actually, to really find out who they are and what they want to be in their life, you know, and appreciate who they are. I actually started off working with men because not many people work with men in an effort to help women. Because when I started dating, I realized how awful men are after separation. And I thought, okay, I'm going to work with men to try and help women. But that didn't really work. So now I mostly work with women.
Oh, that's great. And we got a little giggly there for a second while I was making faces to Leanne. Nico the Noof walked in and I was trying to ignore him, but there he came. Anyway, he left again, which is good. Yeah, it's interesting that you figure men would be as interested in help as women, and some men are, but there doesn't seem to be quite as much help for them now because so many women are loving the whole space of helping other women.
Absolutely. And that's why I thought, all right, let me try and there's a certain need for men to get help, and men often say they want help. And I spent a year really directing my efforts towards helping men on social media and all that. And yeah, I got a few clients, but I was going to go broke if I stayed doing that. And the men that I worked with were absolutely amazing and had fantastic results. But it was like pulling teeth. And pretty much the second I put it out there that I wanted to work with women, I got 2 female clients. And I was like, all right, I'm doing this. Thank you, universe.
It's such a process of trial and error, this entrepreneur stuff, isn't it?
Oh, my God. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Big time.
I laughed out loud when I was looking at your notes and you said, and I quote, well, once a month, I feel like I'm losing my mind. And it was in the context of being an entrepreneur and the combination of that with hormones at this time of life. So tell me a little bit about what that's like for you.
Yes. No, my whole life I've been extraordinarily lucky when it comes to hormones. Really, I've had no issues. And then all of a sudden, I started turning into this wreck once a month, and I didn't pick it up straight away because it wasn't during my period. It was a few days before. And I didn't have an app or anything. I wasn't checking when I arrived because I was pretty much on time and whatever. And then I started realizing that when it happened, I just needed to be by myself. And I was dating another person at that time, and I was hating him every month. And I was like, my relationship sucks, my life sucks, everything sucks. And then I finally started tracking my period because it wasn't working. It wasn't on time all the time. And then it dawned on me that, oh my God, this is hormonal related. But it doesn't help really. I mean, it kind of helps, but I still get so down, and I feel like my business isn't working, my life isn't working. I've wasted so much money trying to get this business going, and I just get super, super down on myself, like the works, crying. I want to give up now. And then I check my app and I go, okay, I'm due in 4 days. Just breathe. You'll be okay. It's okay. And I calm myself down then, and I just let myself kind of ride it out and sleep it off. And in a day or two, I'm back to normal.
It's just another one of the things about being this age with menopause-y hormonal related stuff that we're not as aware of as we would. I think most of us would think we would be at this point.
For sure.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Well, it's good to know. It's good to know. So how do you take care of yourself now, knowing that that's part of your life?
I think acknowledging it is the number one thing, really. My husband has a stack of chocolate hidden so that I don't pig out every day. But when he sees I'm really stressed, he goes and gives me some, and I'm like, thank you, I need chocolate. So I have my once a month pig out, but also taking a bit of extra time out, connecting with friends who are also in the same position. And I'm very lucky I have a few friends who are naturopaths and do massage and stuff. So I'll be like, hey, I really need something today. And I allow myself to connect with my friends, and we have actually started talking about menopause now. Some of them are older than me, so they've been there, done that, and they can really empathize, finding my words this morning, with how I'm feeling. So really talking about it makes a massive difference. Meditation has made a big difference. My brain is like going all the time. Sometimes my brain is over here and my words are still back here trying to catch up with me. And meditation is very difficult, but when I do it, I actually feel so much better. And walking, really committed now to walking every day. It might just be 15 minutes during my lunch break if I've had a sleep in because I've had a bad night, which is also very much hormonal related. So I've come to turning off my alarm and allowing myself to sleep, and starting clients at 10 o'clock instead of 9. And I may just wake up at 7:30, but that still gives me time to go for a walk. So these little tiny things make a big difference, actually.
I love that you noticed that starting at 10 could really change your morning in a way that supported you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a morning person.
Well, and here you are, Australia time. You're here very early at your end, and I yes. Thank you for that. But the thing, like I talk about this a lot, that we need a midlife operating system, but most of us are just like zooming into this phase without changing anything. And there are some things that do need to be changed, including the way we think, but also making little shifts to support what it is you need and what makes it easier for you is so great. It's so great that you noticed that.
Yeah, thank you. I think I had no choice in the end. No, I'm lying.
No, I totally had a choice. You could have ignored it.
Yes, I could have. And also I had a coach, and he was really looking at me and how burnt out I was. And he said, okay, you need a better morning routine. And we had a really good talk about it. And he said, what would happen if you started at 10? And my instinct was, oh my God, but what about all those clients who need me at 9? Okay, let's see what happens. And when I let go of the fear of having a good morning routine, and there's all these people that talk about the 5 a.m. start. I tried. I was needing a long afternoon sleep to get through it. My body clock is not a 5 a.m. starter. I don't care what all these people say. You've got to listen to your own body. And I think a lot of women suffer with sleeplessness when they're going through menopause. And I really didn't want to take drugs to get through that. Occasionally I'll have a pill to help me sleep when I'm really exhausted. But mostly I just allow myself to go back to sleep when I wake up and do the natural thing. And it's definitely working.
Yeah. So the new midlife operating system for you would be, you know what? I need to allow myself the flexibility in the morning if I've had a bad sleep. And the idea of starting at 10, even as a trial, which you did, and it's working beautifully, and you're able to do what it is you want to do. I've also never
Absolutely.
been able to wake up super early. I do know people who do it. It's also not for me. And you can't guarantee the sleep.
No,
You
no.
just can't
And if you're
guarantee it.
lying awake for 2 hours thinking about everything, you're going to be exhausted when the alarm goes off at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. So, yes, no. Listen to your body clock, ladies.
It's so true. Now, what do you think? What have you noticed about being an older woman and how it may or doesn't affect being an entrepreneur? Have you noticed some things about being your age and stage and being an entrepreneur? Maybe the way people see you or the way you're showing up?
Definitely the way I show up is that I don't care as much about what other people think. When I was in my 30s and most of my 40s, I was very self-conscious, very worried about saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, just really no self-confidence. And as I've gotten older, it comes with the fact that I've done a lot of inner work, a lot of personal development to get here. And I think also the change in the hormones has let me let go of the need to be there for everybody at every second and forget about what I need. So I've learnt to put myself and what I need a bit higher up the ranks. And that means I actually have more time for business and more time for myself, which means I'm showing up as a far better practitioner. I'm knowing more what I want. I've been able to change my business so that I see the type of clients that I want to see. And I've had some other practitioners work with me. So if a client presents, on the intake form as someone that I don't want to work with, I can very easily say, hey, I've got a client for you. I pass them on to somewhere else. And in the beginning, I would just work with anyone with any issue.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a good fit all the time.
Yeah. What was it about people who've been through a challenging divorce that had so much appeal for the way you can help them?
Well, I've been there. My divorce itself wasn't challenging, but I did whatever I needed to keep the peace. But the marriage was challenging. I was with my first husband from the age of 17 to 38, and I didn't know myself. He didn't know himself. And it turned out to be quite an emotionally challenging, abusive, if you like, relationship where I really lost my identity. I had no clue who I was or what I wanted. And I felt I could not actually ask for what I wanted because he wouldn't listen anyway. He wanted things his way. And it was really hard. And as I started working with clients, I saw that, this is actually not unusual. This is actually really common that people completely lose who they are in relationship and then they feel terrified to leave that relationship. And I was at the point where I was fantasizing about killing myself very regularly, driving into a truck or running away from home. Do I take the kids? Do I not? Do I take one? Do I take which one do I take? How will I cope? Like all of these things were very intense. Having nightmares about my room trying to kill me and then waking up and checking if my husband was asleep. Like, does he want to kill me? All that sort of stuff. But really, the dreams were about me imploding. Like I was imploding and I needed to get out. And it was a massive relief when I finally made the decision that it was done on his 40th birthday. But that's another long story. But it was scary afterwards because I was completely reliant on him financially. I had just started my business, so I really wasn't making much money at all. And yeah, it kind of morphed into this desire to really want to make a difference for other people to start this second part of their life in a beautiful way and not feel like they have to be trapped in an unhealthy or toxic relationship forever.
Now, did you have support while you were considering your options?
Nope.
Wow.
This was part of the problem. Strangely, I look back at myself then and I think, what was I thinking? I was studying psychology. I was intensely anxious, crying, yelling, depressed. And for some reason, no one ever suggested to me that I should go to therapy myself. And it never occurred to me. I think I was so deep in my hole, just trying to get through, just trying to get my assignments done. I started uni when my son was 1 year old, and then I had my daughter a year later. So I had toddlers, a husband who was very unhelpful, didn't want me to study. I just didn't have time to think about what I actually needed. So I got help towards the end when the suicidal thoughts started from a naturopath because I wanted to take some natural supplements to help. And that was really amazing. But yes, I didn't get help. We signed off on our papers because we agreed on what to do, but I did not do any digging of his business or anything. I was just like, yeah, let's just get this over with. It was a big mistake. And I don't know what I would have found that could have helped me with the settlement to be a bit better, which I only realized later when I saw him thriving and I was just plateauing, going a bit, struggling, really struggling financially. And it would have been better for me to have some support in that time. And then I did start counselling and all of that, but it was always a struggle, like, oh my God, how am I going to afford this? I just have to do it. So I was like the most frugal person ever. All the PowerPoints were going off, saving electricity, saving water, not buying any clothes for ages, all of that sort of stuff.
Wow, that's quite a story, to just really, you as a psychologist, with psychologist training and all of that. And you can see that when you're in it, it's very hard to see what's going on.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And then you took the entrepreneurial route, which is, there's like no sick days.
No, what's that? A sick day? Well, even holidays are difficult because when I first started, I forgot that at some point I was going to have to pay tax. And I didn't put any money aside for tax. And then I got this massive tax bill and I nearly had a freaking heart attack. That was a lesson. Put money aside for tax after that. And for holidays, took me about 5 years to realize I should be putting money aside for holidays as well. But I was spending all my money on personal development, courses, workshops. If I had the money there, it was getting spent. And it took me way too long to learn. I need to be putting aside money. What are you doing, girl? Once I started doing that, it actually changed me and my business and my ability to have a break and all of that as well. And it really started to prove to me that I was worthy and I needed to be paying myself properly. And yeah, it was really quite a shift in mindset then.
Yeah, it's huge. And it seems like even though you know what you should be doing, as entrepreneurs, it's so much fun to grow. And it's really fun to grow. And even though vacations are fun and taking care of yourself is fun, for some reason, there's something so like tingly exciting about investing in yourself and your business. Don't you think?
Absolutely. Look, the first time I invested in myself in business, it was absolutely terrifying. And I bawled my eyes out as I withdrew money from my mortgage redraw and I took money out of my kids' bank accounts because I needed to do this course. And I thought, okay, I'll make the money back later and then I can put it back. And I did, but it was such an intense fear of, am I doing the right thing? But at the same time, I need to do this. And it was the best decision because without that, I wouldn't be where I am now.
That's amazing. And you learn to trust your instinct too as an entrepreneur.
Yes, that's true, right? Actually. Yeah, for sure.
And we're not just older, we're wiser too. We always forget that part.
Absolutely. That's the best part.
So good. So what would you say is like the next thing for you in your business? I know in your notes you mentioned paid speaking engagements. Like, tell me more about that and what you see as next.
I would love to do that. I got the opportunity to go on a P&O cruise to Papua New Guinea in June and I was speaking. It was absolutely fabulous. There was 200 people there. I did 5 talks. The same 200 people or so showed up for each 5 talk. They were all different talks and it was brilliant. I felt in my element. So I would love to do more of that. I haven't quite figured out how to get into that world as yet. But the other thing I'm really working on now is getting some programs online so I can help more people at an affordable price. So that's my current focus. And I assume that by the time this podcast goes to air, that'll be done because I'm like, this has to happen and I'm making that happen. So I think I'm at the stage now where I'm very busy with clients and I want to be able to help more people in a way that really, I guess, helps them grow. I don't even know how to put this into words, Suzy. I guess I want to be able to show women that divorce can be good. It doesn't have to be a horrible, tragic thing. There's this lovely phrase called conscious uncoupling. So I'm looking at, there's a book about that as well, Catherine, and I've forgotten her last name, but you can look her up, Conscious Uncoupling. And I love that concept of being able to end a marriage or a relationship in a way that is beautiful, respectful, and caring. And if that doesn't happen, what I would really like to do is help women and men, if any men are listening, to find themselves after their separation and really connect to that wise, empowered woman, because she's still there. She's there underneath all of that part of you that feels broken, is that wise woman, and it is 100% possible to connect to her again. And that's my goal, is to help as many women as possible find themselves after their separation.
That's so good. So the author's name is Catherine Woodward Thomas of that book.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. No, that's great. So what is so special for you about the beach?
Oh my gosh, I do not know. Last year I had the opportunity to go to France, and we got to the water and I started crying. Well, I was there for my husband's work thing, and there was like 6 other people there. And I looked at the water and I just felt so at home, and the tears came and I was like, oh my God, they're going to think I'm crazy. And I felt like home. I do have a European background. My mum's Maltese, so Mediterranean and all of that. And I said to my husband, we need to move near the beach. I just love the water. I feel so calm. We're about an hour from the beach now. So whenever we go there, whenever I'm really stressed, I actually do just go for a drive and hang out there for the day by myself. There's something really cleansing about the water and sitting on the sand and just running my hands through the sand and the rocks and the people and the cafes. It's just like, oh, I need to be here. So,
oh my God,
yes,
Leanne, I'm with you. I feel the same way. It just lights me up. And I also don't know how it's going to happen, but it's always on a vision board. Like I need the water. I do a lot of whale watching, so I'm just very drawn to the ocean.
Wow, that's nice. Well, I'm an empty nester now. So my kids have moved out. They're doing their own thing. You know, I have a car. I can drive back here to see my friends. They can come and see me. And I think this is part of the beauty of midlife as well, is that I'm tired of doing things for everybody else. And this is my time now. My husband loves the beach too, so I'm not forcing him to do anything he doesn't want. And I don't want to get to my deathbed and regret never living near the beach. And I don't want to be too old to enjoy living near the beach.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And regret proofing is a huge thing, because if you're trying to be much more intentional, there are definitely ways to minimize the likelihood of you having regrets. If you're intentional about it, you can really work on it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things in your notes that really stood out is that when you were younger and in your first marriage, and you really didn't love your life, but you really didn't know what you wanted. And so with these women that you're working with, I'm sure they're very much like that, the way you're describing your ideal client.
Absolutely. I remember the first time someone said, Leanne, what do you want? And I was like, I don't know. What do you mean? What do I want? What do you mean? I'm allowed to want something? It was just day to day. And it took me quite a while to figure out what I actually want for myself, and that I could have what I wanted. You know, I was so busy looking after my husband's needs and what he wanted, and being denied access. That's not the right word. Just being denied myself, even to the point. So I don't know if you can tell, but I've got blue in my hair right now. So if I was to put colors in my hair or wear big jewelry or cut my hair short or, you know, loud clothes, he would hate it. So I really toned myself down in every way. And it got to the point where I just kind of gave up on wanting what I wanted or knowing what I wanted, because it didn't matter. It was not going to happen. So now I often ask clients, what do you want? And often it's in context of relationship. What do you want in relationship? And people can often tell me what they don't want. I don't want this arguing anymore. I don't want someone who's going to lie to me. I don't want someone who is all about themselves in bed, all of that. I go, but what do you want? And then there's silence and they don't know. And often I have to explore that with them. Well, what's the opposite of that? Again, silence, ticking, trying to figure out the words to say what they do want. And when we start to take hold of what we actually do want, that's when we can go for it. That's when we can put it on the vision board. I love vision boards, by the way.
Yeah, it's almost like we forgot how to create possibility, think about, like we forgot imagining, We forgot how to exercise those muscles. Like, it's pretty interesting that so many women are so disconnected from what they want, but then they really don't even know what to do. Like when we were kids, we knew how to imagine fun things to do.
Yes. Very
Easy.
true.
Easy.
Yep.
If it came to playing games or doing something fun with a friend. And there were other parts of our lives when we graduated from high school, we had some ideas of what we wanted to do. Then when we finished that phase, university or establishing a career, we had some ideas of what we wanted to do. And it's really, I think, just taking a deep dive into not being first and serving so many other people that really just like becomes a wedge between that old ability to think like that and to exercise that muscle. Yeah. And we get really stuck.
Yeah, agreed. And I think that's why so many people end up with depression or anxiety or get sick. You know, there's that concept of disease being dis-ease. I'm uneasy with who I am, and then that manifests into illness. And I do believe in that. Now, I've seen it in myself when I'm really unhappy. You know, I did have some autoimmune conditions, and I was able to sort of work through that. And the more connected I became with myself and listened to my body and ate what I needed to and all of that, those conditions subsided, which was really amazing. And I think it's really important that women listen to their body and pay attention. You know, food is so important, exercise is so important, sleep is so important. Lots of water. I now have this 2-liter bottle of water that I carry around with me every day, and I do my absolute best to finish it. Sometimes I don't, but when I do, I feel so much better. And it's these little things that make a massive difference to our energy level, our depression, our anxiety. And I think a lot of women don't appreciate that what we put in is what we get out.
Yeah. So I also see here in the notes that you have a podcast coming, or did it come?
Yes, it is up on YouTube now. It's called Men, Women and Happiness. I have a co-host named Scott McLaughlin, and we talk about mostly relationships, what's coming up. You know, sometimes one of us will have a client or something will happen where we'll go, let's talk about this today. So it's very off the cuff. I think it's interesting. So we haven't actually promoted it yet, but it's there. And in the next week, we're going to start promoting it and getting it out there. So you can do a little Google of that.
So can you spell the link to your website?
Yes, it's just my name, www.leanne, Leanne, Kanzler, Kanzler.com.
Excellent. And of course, we will have that in the show notes, but I know some people like to hear it and they do it right away. So
fair enough.
So good. Okay. So how can people best get in touch with you? It's your website?
Yes, definitely through my website. There's a link there where they can book a call. They can send me an email if they like. I'm on all the socials as well. So
with
happy to, yes, with my name.
Okay, great.
LinkedIn, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, happy for people to reach out in any way they like.
That's amazing. Leanne, thank you so much for taking the time from your day so early there in Australia. I really appreciate how hard you worked to create what you wanted and how you wanted to live and how you just got more and more comfortable with who you really were, which is amazing.
Thank you, Suzy. It has absolutely been a struggle and a journey and definitely worth it.
Oh, so good. All right. That is it for now. If you're listening and loving what you hear, please like and subscribe. Reviews are great too and much appreciated. And if you're a woman in the middle who's 50 or over and an entrepreneur and would also like to come on the show, please go to www.midlifeinterviews.com and fill out an application. We'd love to have you on to share your story. Thanks so much for listening. It's never too late for you to put yourself on your agenda. I'm Suzy Rosenstein, and I'll talk to you again soon. Now, real quick before we say goodbye, if you are connecting with this show, I'd love to invite you to a happiness breakthrough coaching session. It's my laser-focused coaching call that will help you get clear about what's getting in your way as a woman in the middle entrepreneur and confident about your next steps to more happiness in your next chapter. Head over to www.nextchapterbreakthrough.com. Talk to you soon.